Hello and welcome. This is Terry Roberts with Destinations International. We're so glad to have you here today for our webinar, Immediately Maximize Your Meeting Benefits, combining the CVB, hotel, and GSO insights and resources. We think this is a great topic and we're glad to see that you did too. So before we begin, I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping. We will take questions for our panelists during this webinar. So if you have an opportunity and something comes to mind, don't wait. Just go ahead and type it into the question board, the question panel of your GoToMeeting dashboard there. And Elaine Rosquist with Destinations International will be grouping the questions, answering the questions, and then presenting the questions to our panelists at the end. I would also really like to thank Chauncey Keller. Chauncey is with eProDirect. She is our great partner and webinar sponsor each month, when we'll give Chauncey a minute to say hello to you at the end of the webinar today. So let me introduce you then to our panelists. So we have three very esteemed CVB and hotel professionals, and we're excited to welcome first Jamie Rice, CMP. She is the Regional Director, National Accounts for the Greater Raleigh CVB. And Jamie, it's so exciting to have you here. Jamie has over 25 years of hospitality sales experience, the majority of which she has really worked with CVBs. She's been in all kinds of small, medium, and large destinations in Baltimore and Toronto, and then the past 6 years in the great destination of Raleigh. So, Jamie, thank you for being here and for representing the CVB experience here.
Thanks so much. And hi, everyone.
And then next to her is Ann Arnold, MBA, CASE, and she is the Global Account Executive for Marriott International. And Ann, thank you for being here and representing your brand. You too, like Jamie, bring about 25 years of experience to this conversation today. And working with Marriott International, I know you have such a strong history of developing strong customer relationships and really finding great solutions to your customers' challenges. So I am excited for you to talk more about the GSO relationship and look forward to you contributing to our conversation. Welcome, Ann.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to the day.
And then last but certainly not least, Jamie's partner in the great city of Raleigh. And Melissa Haycock is the Senior Sales Manager at the Raleigh Marriott City Center. And Melissa, thank you. I know that your 18 plus years of experience in the industry, you have been both in sales and event management with several brands, and that you currently now in your role in Raleigh work with both state and national associations. So I think it'll be really exciting to drill down to the hotel perspective here today in the webinar.
Yes, good afternoon, thanks.
All right, ladies, so I think that we decided to tackle this topic in a webinar because we hear so often from planners that they're just a little confused about what each type of planning partner brings to the table. And each of you provide a unique set of benefits and strengths, but what many planners might not realize is that these partnerships are not mutually exclusive, that there is an opportunity for planners to combine the resources of numerous planning partners and maximize the benefits that you all offer. So our kind of roadmap today is to kind of talk about each of your roles, what each partner, a CVB, a GSO, or a hotel sales professional brings to the table. And then dive a little bit into the timeline for involvement and some best practices that planners can maximize, how they benefit. And then we want to speak a little bit to the planner's role. How are they responsible for exercising control over the relationship and creating the kind of transparency that allows you to best work with each other? So that's kind of where we're going. And so let's begin then really talking about this idea of this planner-centric relationship, that the planner is in the middle, if you will. And I think it was I can't remember if it was Melissa or Ann that kind of said, I see this diagram here in my mind of how this relationship works at its best, with the planner in the middle and then combining the GSO, the CVB, and the hotel resources. So from my perspective, I think we talked about this. The CVB is obviously looking to secure the meeting in their city, no matter which location. They're looking for a win and increase loyalty for their city. Then the GSO's role becomes then to secure the meeting for their brand. And again, taking a broader branded perspective. And then obviously the hotel is looking to secure the meeting at the property level and do whatever they can do to book the business for the hotel. But I thought we would break this down a little bit more specifically. So I'd like to go ahead and turn to Jamie to really talk about the CVB and specifically, what does it mean, Jamie, to sell the destination?
And you did such a great intro there, Derry, that I think you did a great overview of everything that we do. Yeah, we sell the destination. I always say that I'm like Switzerland. I don't care where you meet in my city, but I want you to come, or my county, but I want you to come and stay and eat and enjoy and leave. Whereas the Chamber of Commerce might want a company to relocate and stay and want residents to relocate and stay. And that's the two things that we get confused a lot with, is the difference between a chamber and a CVB or DMO. But as noted above, we're the one-stop shopping. You want to bring a meeting to a destination. Where do you start? You're kind of, I get so frustrated when somebody calls me up and says, well, I've already called this person, this person, this person. I'm like, wow, you could have called me and then, told me at once, and I will send it out to all the appropriate hotels or venues that need your service, or that you need their service. Gone are the days where, 100% membership bureaus and we set everything to everyone no matter what the needs were. My bureau is not a membership bureau. Some are, but again, regardless of their type and their makeup, we are respectful of what the client needs and will only send information to that will apply to that. The goals of that, as I said, it's one stop. We can save you a lot of time and money. We know what else might be going on in the city. I'm working with one group right now, and we have a major festival going downtown, and they want, a Friday and Saturday. I'm like, you move it to Thursday, Friday, we can easily accommodate it. So examples like that, we can work with you and help your meeting fit in. We also know about incentives and that might be available to larger groups in town. Also, I had one group, this was great, that they ended up with a road race, and we connected them with the police department and all the facilities that needed, to be contacted in order to do that. So there is a lot of elements that go on to help your meeting, and we are here. One part of the three cogs that all we want is your meeting to be a huge success. We want to maximize your free time. So, after we find the best place for you to meet, then our services team and marketing team will step in and help you market the event so that your attendance is good, everyone has a great time, and you'll come back. That's my main goal.
That's great. And then talk a little bit about, I know we kind of bulleted these pieces here, about time, time and money saver, I think is pretty obvious. Obviously, you spoke to knowledge provider and how you connect people. Talk a little bit about your role of protecting the planner in the destination, how you can give them, be their sort of eyes and ears and maybe give them heads up for things that might impact them. I think that's such an interesting role, Jamie, and one that isn't necessarily always talked about.
Right. Well, that can take a number of things. Sometimes it's, I was thinking about a group, sometimes it can be we're the protector that your local contingent can be so excited that they're coming to town that they're out making all these plans that are aren't needed. And so we'll kind of step in and say, oh, well, this is how we're going, and kind of guide that area. We're a protector in that there's a major event, as I said, going on in town, and we know that you're coming in at the same time, so we can help. Your major arrivals might be coming at the same time, so we can help coordinate that and make sure that your delegates can get in and access the area. There could be a big renovation going on in town. We'll help coordinate that and say, ooh, that's got pushed back and it might overlap your date. Let us work and find your overflow hotel rooms. So we've solved the issue or window of opportunity, as we always like to say. We've solved the problem before it's even become a problem. So we're there to look out for things and help be your advocate. And a lot of times, a city, a destination might go through some bad PR. We're there to help promote your meeting and give the correct answers to that, because as we all know, it's not always you're not always getting the full story. So we're there to give the accurate information on the destination as well. Again, we're there to see your event through, and then even following, we will follow up and do the reporting that's necessary and help gather the information, the numbers, your attendance records, etc., that will give you greater buying power at the end of the day for your next year.
So that's a great explanation of that protector role. And I think it goes without saying, Jamie, but I'll put it in here, that these services are paid for by those vested in tourism in the destination. So the planner is not paying any fees specifically for this support.
Absolutely. I would say the majority of us are funded through a portion of a hotel motel tax or a destination marketing fee. Granted, we don't get 100% of that ever, and that's a harder thing for CVBs to hold on to, as our local governments see the value in tourism. But and some are get some membership or monies and funding through membership fees. So it's all a little bit different how we're funded, but the end is at the end of the day, there's no cost to a planner to use a CVB service, and that's why sometimes I get really frustrated when I find out that they've done all the work, and it's my job to do it for you for free.
Yeah, and I think that there's always an opportunity to talk about the funding, because the services aren't free. They've been paid for, but they are free to planners. So thanks for clarifying that. So let's move on then to Anne, if we can. And Anne, I'd really like for you to talk about brand GSOs. From a global perspective, what can your brand expert bring to the table?
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Our role, like you said, it's as a brand expert. And if you think about Marriott, we have 31 brands. So that ranges from Ritz-Carlton and St. Regis to Aloft and Spring Hill Suites. And if you think about it, in DC alone, we have 25 unique properties. So our job really is to understand the features and the benefits of each of these different brands. And we've got those in a variety of different segments, whether it be luxury, premium, or select segments. So we really need to know how those match up with our customers, what their needs are. And as you can imagine, and this is probably a simple explanation, but the needs of a training meeting are going to be so different than the needs of a board meeting. So we really need to know, and when we're looking at an opportunity, what makes the most sense in each market. So hopefully that helps answer your question on that front.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And then I think the other important thing to know is that we really have, both internal and external customers, and probably most importantly, the meeting professionals are external customers, and we really work side by side with our accounts day in and day out, and our intermediary partners to really understand the needs of each opportunity. Some of the accounts that I work with have, upwards of 25 meetings a year. And so it's our job to kind of be the keeper of the information. We really gather information. We analyze the history of each of their meetings, and also try to figure out what's worked in our hotels in the past. What properties have worked for them, what challenges have we maybe run into, and how can we improve on that year after year. I think Jamie, sort of said it in one of our meetings, we're connectors. We really try our best, I think, in both the CVB and on the GSO side to connect our clients with the right hotels in our markets and in our brands.
What you do there, I just want to, Anne, so really your role is very much like Jamie's role, to be more of, at a very high level, understanding everything that could be available in the brand portfolio that would support the customer, just like Jamie is looking at everything that is available in the destination portfolio to support the customer.
Exactly. I'd say the only difference really between the two is that, our relationship might be more continual because we're working with that customer on that same opportunity year after year. So if it's an annual citywide, we're working with them maybe in Raleigh, but we're also going to work with them when they maybe look at Tampa or Baltimore, a different market. So we get to really have some continuity there, getting to know what hotels really are the best fit.
Right.
Okay. And I guess maybe I should talk a little bit about our internal customers. Obviously, we have, at Marriott, we have lots of different layers, but we have our hotel sales people that we work very closely with. We have citywide sales people we work with. We also have our group sales offices. So our role really with those stakeholders is we're kind of what we call the general manager of the account. We're the expert on the customer's needs. And one of the things that we do is we have a customer promise where we really year after year, we try, of course, to keep meetings in our hotels. We try to do multi-year meetings, have customers come back to our hotels in different cities. And we really try to do a turnover on each of those meetings from hotel and city to city. So we get to know, what was successful, what worked, what didn't work. We involve our general managers and the event managers. We share history, and we can even share BEOs. So that's really our goal, is kind of to be the connector of hotels year after year.
I was good.
Go ahead.
And I was going to just chime in with that. From the Bureau standpoint, we actually share that information amongst ourselves too. The bureaus will share that information. A lot of it we get through you from our hotel properties as well, but we'll share that, especially when it becomes a multi-property or convention center group of business, that we need to involve more people together.
Right, and I think we all work together, as a team on that. That's our ultimately our goal, I think, between the CVB and the hotels and the global salesperson. We're one team working, to advocate for the customer. I think the other thing is we keep a lot of information. I think it says on here keep our vital customer information. What that means really is, it could be as simple as just flagging that, hey, the CEO has a nut allergy. Make sure that there's no nuts. Make sure that we have amenity preferences when they're coming in for a site inspection. Could be something as simple as that, or it could be something a little bit more important, such as like historical food and beverage spend. A lot of times customers aren't comfortable. They may spend $200,000 in F&B, but they're just not comfortable with guaranteeing that in a contract. But if we have that history to support what the actual spend is, or understand the affiliates that might come to a meeting, it really helps us to provide that information to our hotels so they can really use it when evaluating the business.
Right. I think that that's such a good explanation of your role and your relevancy. So thank you for sharing that. So now we'll move down to the hotel level. So I think it's interesting, Melissa, for you to talk about what you do and also how you receive support from the GSO level and from the CVB level.
Right. And so for me, I'm taking all that information that they have gathered and working so that I have a jump start on their preferences and what's worked well, what hasn't worked well in other cities, and really just know their hot buttons coming in the door so that we can make sure that the site selection process is smooth and that the contracting phase is easy for the customer. Like Anne said, I will call Anne and say, hey, I have a client coming in. Do they like red or white? And Anne will let me know what it is. So it really makes my job easier to have the partners working all together. Jamie's role can help us with city permits, working with, city partners that I may not have a direct link with, but she does. you know, spouse tours, pre and post conference activities. I can use Jamie as a resource to help me out, and the CVB services team. So I couldn't do it without them.
And we couldn't do it without you too, Melissa.
And if I could just jump in there too, is that information flows back as well to us on a global sales level. So, I mean, I have a great example. I think I had a customer that was in Raleigh, and Melissa did a great job of coming back to me and saying, hey, did you know that she has a feather allergy? Well, you know what? I didn't know that. But that information comes back to us, whether it be in the form of a postcon or just a comment, and we keep that information again so we can pass it on to the next city or to the next hotel to hopefully improve upon the customer experience or the group experience.
Right, exactly.
And bigger than, you know, it's, wow, it's important what flavor of wine you get in the thing, which sometimes it is awkward to ask people that. So that's why it's always helpful to fill those customer profiles out. But then also, you know, if you were in a previous destination and had, for some reason, a bad attrition, but we might be able to note that there was a reason, you know, the hurricane hit, you know, so it's more than just, oh, somebody's looking at the number and it dropped off, and, you know, we'll work together, the three of us, in answering those things, and this is why this happened, and this is what we, you know, they might not be, you know, they have, you know, this might be an issue they had last year, but we're going to work with them if we've already addressed it.
Right.
Melissa, I always think about knowledge is power, right? So when I look at the three roles, I kind of think that, you know, a planner has the opportunity with the combination of their efforts to maximize making sure that everyone they're working with has organizational intelligence, has meeting intelligence, and then at a very, very, you know, level, you know, a very specific level, planner intelligence. I think you have illustrated how that works quite well.
Thank you.
So let's talk about timeline, because I know this comes up, that there's often an overlap when multiple partners are involved, and this can leave planners wondering, you know, is it worth it to have to manage the interface between multiple partners working on their behalf? So what can planners do specifically to reduce duplication of effort, and how can they, you know, assist their partners in being able to work well together?
So I'll take the lead on this one, Terry, and at least start us off on the conversation. And I did some research and asked a lot of my planner friends along the way, preparing for this, you know, what their thoughts were on this. And their answer was, call us all at once, you know, or who do you have the best relationship with? But with the technology that's available today, we will all find out about it about the same time or a day apart from each other. So in the end, we're all working on it at the same time, and Melissa might get a lead from Ann, and if it's more than, you know, bigger than just her property alone, she'll send it to me, and so I'm involved anyway. So as I said, it's probably just as well to call us all at the same time, because we're all working on your behalf, and it we'll end up working on it together. But we'll, you know, we want to just offer you all the services that we can and not step on each other's toes, which we rarely do. We figured out how to work in tandem together quite well, and just to make sure it's seamless and that we're not duplicating efforts is the big thing. That if I'm calling you and Ann's calling, if I'm calling Melissa and Ann's calling Melissa that date, and Melissa's also gotten the thing, but they're all a day apart, that doesn't help us. If we all got it at the same time, I can say, oh, I know you've gotten this probably. Let's work on it together and see what dates we have.
Right, and also Jamie and Ann have the ability to source multiple properties at one time. So as the planner, you don't have to pick up the phone 10 times to call 10 different hotels in the city. You can talk to one or two people, and all that information that you've provided is disseminated out quickly.
Yeah, and I think historically, I don't know, I'll address the elephant in the living room or ask the question with you guys, because I know that sometimes planners they have a good relationship with their GSO, and they want to make sure that, you know, that and you get the credit, if you will, for the booking. And you know, Jamie, you know, or if you have somebody that's very loyal to you, they're like, I want to make sure Jamie gets the credit for the lead. And I think that that's very historically old thinking, that we're beyond that as an industry, and it isn't up to the planner to have to worry about who gets credit for the meeting. Everybody will get the credit as due, and we're really just interested in serving the planner.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Carrie, that's
Yep.
a great
Definitely.
thing. Here, here. It's just
Right.
The only thing I will add to that is, and I had a group today that asked for something, and they wanted some services. Hey, we're coming to town. We have a meeting, and they did not contact us. They had gone directly to a hotel. It wasn't in our system. And in order to maintain our funding and say, this is how many people came to Raleigh, and this is why you should continue, Mr. Government Official, to give us a percentage of that sales tax, because we brought this many people into town. So it's not going to change my, you know, I don't get bonuses based on attendees or how many, you know, groups I booked. So it's helpful for me to know about it, although I do have a goal to meet. So I should make sure my boss knows that. But it is, you know, it's just, if it's not, I need to know the information in order to get it, to be able to provide those services for you.
That's great. So we are concluding at the bottom of our hour. So I just want to, as we do, kind of let you guys tie a bow on it. I assume there are some best practices for collaboration. So just wondering if someone wants to speak to that to kind of clean it all up.
Sure. This is Ann. I'll take this one. And I would just say, you know, if you left with any one takeaway, is that we are one team. We all work together, and I think we each bring different information and resources to the table. So by kind of enlisting the help of everyone as you're looking at an opportunity, you really, I think, are covering all the bases. So for example, I think Jamie, you gave a good example earlier. The CVB knows what's happening in the city. I definitely don't know what's happening in a city. So if I were just to get a lead, I might be sending it to Raleigh, and it could be right over, you know, a special event, and there wouldn't be availability at any of the hotels. So Jamie has that inside knowledge. Another best practice I've seen, and a lot of my planners that I work with do this, is they actually, when they send out an RFP, they send it to all of their global salespeople, but they also send it to the CVBs, and we can see who it's gone to, so that we know, hey, who our partner is in each city. Because obviously, from my perspective, I work with, you know, lots of CVBs, so it's nice to know who at the CVB is working on it, so we can kind of pull it together from that perspective. So, you know, it's not a secret as to who gets RFP. We've pretty much figured you're going to send it to every brand, and if you're looking at multiple cities, it's nice to kind of know where it's going. I think it helps us to serve you a little better. And let's see if I really have anything. I don't think I have anything else. Melissa, do you have anything to share from your perspective?
No, I think you kind of covered it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in competition with each other. We're really here just to ensure the success of the meeting and make it beneficial for you.
Right. So. And to just keep the lines of communication open. You know, we do talk and we do collaborate. So if we all know the same information, it just makes it makes it easier on the client, and it makes it easier on the hotel.
So I thank you all. I think you've done a really nice job of clarifying and explaining, you know, how our planners can begin to immediately maximize, right, the benefit of using this great combination of CVB, GSO, and hotel support. So if a planner is interested in a relationship, a primary contact with a GSO or with a CVB, and they don't have one, how would they begin? So I'll just you know, just ask you to say, you know, I think especially the global sales office, like, you know, how would you get a relationship with a global sales office if you don't currently have one?
I would say probably if you don't have somebody already assigned to you, or you may actually have somebody assigned and you just don't know it. You know, and I can only speak for Marriott. We have global sales, we have area account sales, we have lots of different layers. So just always ask. I mean, as you're working with the hotel, you could say to the hotel, they can look in the system and say, yes, you are assigned to this person. And if you don't know who they are, we obviously want to make sure that we make that connection for you.
Right.
And if there isn't someone, we can point you in the right direction and get that set up. But I would say start at the hotel level.
Mm-hmm.
And for CVBs, if you don't know who to call, well, I have to put a plug in. DMAI has a wonderful database that you can use. I'm sorry, DI. I'm old school. Destinations International has a wonderful website with all the bureaus listed on it. You can, if you're in the DC area, there's a CVB reps website that we have dedicated staff in the area to assist you, or just go and good old Google or any Safari or whatever and plug in CVB, and usually with whatever city or visit whatever, and you will get to at least our website, which should have a connections thing.
That's great. Thank you, ladies. So we're going to take some questions, and I know you've done a good job because you've produced some interesting questions on the board. So Elaine's going to gather those, and I would just like to answer the big question that many of you will all be asking is, how do I get my CMP credit? So early next week, you should be receiving a certificate as well as the link to the recording. So check your spam, because unfortunately, sometimes it does land there. And then we hope that you'll join us for our March webinar. You'll get a link in the follow-up email that gives you an opportunity to register. And in this increasingly interesting climate that we're in, we really are excited to talk about creating more diverse and inclusive meetings. So that's what's up for next month. We hope you'll join us. So as Elaine touches the question board, go ahead and enter your questions now for either Anne, Jamie, or Melissa. And I'll turn quickly to Chauncey Keller with ePro Direct to say hello and to tell you how her great company might help you. Chauncey?
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, gals, for your time. That was great. So ePro Direct, we're a hospitality marketing agency, and we were established 16 years ago. And about 6 months ago, we launched a brand new program called Booking Community. And Booking Community is for associations and organizations, companies. It's a way for your members or employees to book hotel rooms that are 30 to 70% off of any hotel website or public online travel. This is just for individual travel, so it doesn't interfere with groups or anything. And it's stocked with unpublished rates that are only available through our closed user group. So we have over 800,000 hotels worldwide that participate, and what that means is your members, they get free access to unpublished wholesale rates that they can't get anywhere else. That really helps drive membership value, retention rate, employee satisfaction, and the association generates a new incremental revenue stream through our revenue share program. It's the best part is it's really easy, it's easily integrated, and there's no cost or no investment. If anybody thinks you could benefit, let me know. Chauncey Keller, you can find me on bookingcommunity.com, and I will be sending up a follow-up email to give you a little bit of information. So thank you, ePro Direct and Booking Community. We love our relationships with DI. We're here to help.
Yeah, Booking Community, really cool new service. So thank you, Chauncey, for letting everyone be aware of it and how they can use it. So Elaine, I know we have some good questions on the board. So would you like to field those for our panelists?
Absolutely. Thank you, Terry. And this was wonderful. And first, actually, a compliment just to this group to let you know that we had a planner who said she's been planning for almost 30 years. And believe it or not, it was a revelation to her today that she should send her RFPs to everyone at one time and that it's not about who gets credit. And she said, thank you for explaining this. It was very helpful. So I thought that's very nice to hear, that touch point right there. Yeah, and so,
for that.
Yay, yeah, it's very informative. So actually, first one, let's just talk. It was actually for Ann and Jamie, and then you guys kind of answered it, and the question evolved them because it was, what example, do you guys have examples of how the two of you partner? Is it a proactive or reactive approach? And then you kind of answered it and it said, oh, well, that was answered. However, is your proactive way, so you obviously said you are proactive, but do you target groups even prior to an RFP? Do you work that closely together, I guess, being released to a particular destination? Any examples or a little more detail on that?
Sure. Absolutely. We just had a great group that Ann and Melissa and I worked together on to book in Raleigh, and they had a great meeting in Raleigh last summer. And it was one of the, we send, for me, I don't see them coming back right away. This is where the difference in our roles play. Typically, a national convention will not return to the same destination year after year. So I give them a little breathing time before I start saying, when are you coming back? And like asking a mother who just gave birth, when are we having the next baby? Like, no, not yet. I'm not ready. But so we'll give a little breathing room. But Anne, because of her role in staying in more daily or, constant contact, called the client and found out that they were already ready to look in about 6 years, and called Melissa and I and said, hey, they're going to be ready to come back, start looking at dates. And we're waiting for a decision right now for that group. So thank you, Anne.
This cool example.
Yes. No, that's wonderful. Thanks, Jamie. And then actually, Jamie, this one is directed specifically to you, actually, and it was early on in the conversation here, but the question is, in the past, when I've sent very specific RFPs to CVBs, I was overwhelmed by the sheer number of responses. So do you have any recommendations of how can I best weed through those or limit them? And I know it's different for everyone, but just your general suggestions or comments about that. Thank you.
There are two ways to do that. You can either ask the CVB to collect the proposals for you and send them as one group, which we are happy to do. And if anyone isn't happy to do, I'd be shocked. And we can kind of summarize those, so you're not getting them in your either inbox, or I don't think anyone mails them anymore, and we can actually easily provide a nice little overview summary that says these are the people who said yes, these are who said no. So that is the easiest way. Or you can also put in your RFP, please only respond if you are able to accommodate my meeting. I will personally chastise somebody if they respond to a lead and it says only respond if you can do it. I will call them up and say, no, that's, only you're supposed to go through me. So you can either, again, choose to say, ask your CVB rep to collect the responses. It requires a little more lead time on it, but in this day and age, only a couple more days. But if you're looking for something and answer that afternoon, that's a little harder to answer. Give us 2 or 3 days to collect those and get the lead out. And that's, to me, the best way to do that.
Jamie, this is Terry, but I'd like to comment here that is another really great protector role you play. Like, you can protect the customer from the onslaught of responses. Like, right? If you just want some initial information and you want it to be funneled through you, that can be done, right? And so they do, again, I think that's back to that slide about the planner is in the driver's seat. Ask for what you want, and B, ask for how you want it, right, ladies?
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Sure. Yep. I think we're all about trying to customize responses. If somebody doesn't want to receive, especially if they're looking at multiple cities, they don't want to receive, and I'm talking for maybe an in-house meeting, they don't want to receive 20 proposals. We can gather all of those. We can send them in a grid format. We can actually use a grid. If there's a format that you as a planner would like to use, share that with your global salesperson so that they can use the format that you're comfortable with. Because again, we're here to make this process easier for you and to get you the information so you can evaluate it.
Well, I would like to give a specific shout out to the planner. I'm going to look for her name. I hope it isn't bad to call her out, but Shelley Cohen was the planner that I've been planning. Shelley, thank you that you said, I've been planning for a long time, and it's kind of a relevation to say, hey, send it all at once, be transparent, open those doors. So thank you all, ladies. I think you did such a good job of representing not only your individual roles, but your collective relationship. So on behalf of Destinations International, I would just like to thank all of you for your time here and your participation today. To the planners, we hope that you enjoyed it. You will get a CMP certificate. You will get a link to the webinar, and we look forward to connecting with you for future educational opportunities. So Elaine, thank you for monitoring our questions, and everyone have just a wonderful day.